Hello, my name is Desmond Sullivan, and the game I created with ChatGPT is called Mindset Match. My inspiration for this game was really my family game nights. My brother especially loves, board games and games like this. I especially like 5 second rule, charades, really anything that's fast and involves guessing and things like that. So that really was when ChatGPT gave me that first iteration of examples. That's why I gravitated towards this one. For the game, I used ethnocentric and ethno-relative mindsets as one of the concepts. Ethnocentric meaning that your in-group culture and way of communicating you view as superior to other out-group cultures, whereas the ethno-relative mindset takes on different out-group communication styles and values and treats them as equals, or at least relevant and valuable. I also use low context and high context cultural communication as a concept. Low context meaning that the language is more direct and unambiguous, whereas with high context, as the name implies, it requires more context, more outside context to understand the message. And the communication style tends to be more humble and concepts a little bit more subtle. The learning objectives for the game were to make sure players got to participate in and experience the nuances of the concepts. This is done by making the game based on real world examples, which provided a foundation for future learning. And after the game is ended, players should enter a stage of conscious incompetence when it comes to understanding intercultural communication. And I'll explain all three of those a little bit more later. So here's how the game works. There are two teams, and one person from each team takes turns being the actor. Just like in charades, it's the actor's job to get their team to guess the right answer. So there are two piles of cards. The scenario pile contains a generic situation where the concepts can be applied, and the acted out pile contains either ethnocentric or ethno-relative, and either low context or high context written on the card. And to add some variety, the card also has a required word. The word must be used by the actor when it's their turn. So when it's their turn, the actor gets to use 10 words, acting as a person in the scenario everyone knows. And the actor has to get the team to guess what mindset and which context they are using. If the team is stuck, the actor can give 5 more words to try and make it a little clearer and help them out. And once the actor picks up the act out card, the actor and the team have 30 seconds to answer. So it's a quick round. They got to get it right away. The point system for this is pretty basic. They get 2 points if they get both concepts right using 10 words, and 1 point if they get it in 15 words. This part is important. They get 0 points even if they get only one wrong. This means that the teams have to be really mindful to catch the nuances of both of these concepts. So this is an example that ChatGPT generated from our discussion. As you can see, the actor's response is clearly ethnocentric. They assert that the way to plant a tree is basic and obvious, and that an alternative way of planting a tree is not relevant. These examples are kind of cool because ethnocentrism and high context communication kind of clash a little. They aren't often used together, I suppose. But we can tell from the words should and also putting the expectation on the other person than themselves that this is an example of high context communication. The second example is a lot more understanding and compassionate. So you can assume pretty quickly from the way the actor talked that this is an ethno-relative mindset. And we can tell, especially from the additional 5 words, that the actor is being very direct in their communication, which indicates that it is an example of low context cultural communication. So the first learning objective was to help players understand the nuances of these concepts. The 15 word limit is in place so the guessers and actors don't have an unlimited opportunity to flesh out these concepts. It kind of forces mindfulness. It has to be quick. So the more the players play, the more they will be able to catch on to and understand those subtleties of the concept. And this explanation in itself is actually an example of high context communication. We're kind of playing gameception here. Okay, so the second objective was to lean into real world examples instead of the detailed academic explanations like the ones that we get in this class. I think, especially for people who are new to these concepts, digestible, quick, and fun examples are a good foundation, which encourages new interest in these concepts. And it might lead to future engagement in other things, which leads me to the last objective, which was to create a state of consciousness, a state of conscious incompetence at the end of the game. By the end of the game, my hope is that the players will become aware of their biases and how frequently these concepts are like actually take place in real life. Um, if we remember the developing intercultural communication flexibility staircase model, I hope that players will kind of end up at that second step of conscious incompetence. And from there, they can seek knowledge and gain skills and hopefully climb that ladder toward unconscious competence. I also did want to briefly mention in my conclusion the topic or the biggest takeaway from this is at least as it relates to AI. Um, Especially going into this class, I thought of AI as like this all-powerful, all-knowing thing that had all the answers. And if I were to ask AI explain ethnocentrism or explain low context communication, um, it would do that very well. Yet when I wanted the AI to apply those concepts to examples from this game, it did a poor job of doing it. And I thought at first, oh, well, it's the AI messing up. But then I realized that it's because the parameters I set for the game didn't allow for the AI to actually engage in those concepts in a meaningful educational way and flesh them out. So the game went through multiple iterations, and each step of the way, I could kind of see the progress of the AI being able to understand the concepts better and apply the concepts better. So really, the AI ended up being treated as a new player. And the better the game was constructed, the better the player is able to put these concepts into play and actually participate in the game. So I think that was particularly interesting for me. So I just wanted to point that out in my conclusion. Um, yeah, but overall, it was a very fun experience, and I've never done anything like this before. It was kind of cool creating a game, and this model of charades is kind of tested and used everywhere, and there's so many iterations of that game, and I'm just happy that I was able to create another one. And who knows, maybe I'll try to go further with it and nail down the concepts and play a few rounds with my family. Anyway, thank you very much. Again, I'm Desmond Sullivan, and my game was Mindset Match.